Good evening. My name is Tina Papadopoulos, and I want to welcome you to Christmas 2020 at St. Anargyroi in Marlborough, Massachusetts. I'll be reading an excerpt this evening from George Eliot's The Mill on the Floss. Fine old Christmas, with a snowy hair and ruddy face, had done his duty that year in the noblest fashion, and had set off his rich gifts of warmth and color with all the heightening contrast of frost and snow. Snow lay on the croft and river bank in undulations softer than the limbs of infancy. It lay with the neatliest finished border on every sloping roof, making the dark red gables stand out with a new depth of color. It weighed heavily on the laurels and fir trees till it fell from them with a shuddering sound. It clothed the rough turnip field with whiteness and made the sheep look like dark blotches. The gates were all blocked up with the sloping drifts, and here and there a disregarded four-footed beast stood as if petrified in unrecumbent sadness. There was no gleam, no shadow, for the heavens too were one still pale cloud, no sound or motion in anything but the dark river that flowed and moaned like an unresting sorrow. But old Christmas smiled as he laid this cruel-seeming spell on the outdoor world, for he meant to light up home with new brightness, to deepen all the richness of indoor color and give a keener edge of delight to the warm fragrance of food. He meant to prepare a sweet imprisonment that would strengthen the primitive fellowship of kindred and make the sunshine of familiar human faces as welcome as the hidden day star. His kindness fell but hardly on the homeless, fell hardly on the homes where the hearth was not very warm, and where the food had little fragrance, where the human faces had no sunshine in them, but rather the leaden, blank-eyed gaze of unexpectant want. But the fine old season meant well, and if he has not learned the secret how to bless men impartially, it is because his father Time, with ever unrelenting purpose, still hides that secret in his own mighty, slow-beating heart. And yet this Christmas day, in spite of Tom's fresh delight in home, was not, he thought, somehow or other quite so happy as it had always been before. The red berries were just as abundant on the holly, and he and Maggie had dressed all the windows and mantelpieces and picture frames on Christmas Eve with as much taste as ever, wetting the thick-set scarlet clusters with branches of the blackberried ivy. There had been singing under the windows after midnight, supernatural singing, Maggie always felt, in spite of Tom's contemptuous insistence that the singers were Old Patch, the parish clerk, and the rest of the church choir. She trembled with awe when their caroling broke in upon her dreams, and the image of men in fustian clothes were always thrust away by the vision of angels resting on the parted cloud. But the midnight chant had helped, as usual, to lift the morning above the level of common days, and then there was the smell of hot toast and ale from the kitchen at the breakfast hour. The favorite anthem, the green boughs, and the short sermon gave the appropriate festal character to the church-going, and Aunt and Uncle Moss, with all their 8 children, were looking like so many reflectors of the bright parlor fire when the church-goers came back, stamping the snow from their feet. The plum pudding was of the same handsome roundness as ever, and came in with the symbolic blue flames around it, as if it had been heroically snatched from the nether fires into which it had been thrown by dyspeptic Puritans. The dessert was as splendid as ever, with its golden oranges, brown nuts, and the crystalline light and dark of apple jelly and damson cheese. In all of these things, Christmas was as it had always been since Tom could remember. It was only distinguished, if by anything, by superior sliding and snowballs. Wishing you all a Merry Christmas and a very happy and healthy New Year. Kalesiortes. Thank you.